Welcome back. We're going to talk about the DINK. So the DINK is a defensive shot in pickleball. It is something that about 90% of a competitive pickleball game is done at the non-volley zone. So dinking is a very important part to pickleball. The challenge with dinking is you have to, with the grip, which we talked about in the last lesson, you have to have good grip control and you have to be able to hit the ball soft enough to get it up and over the net, but not hard enough to where it's deep where your opponent can take it out of the air. So the object of the DINK is to allow the ball, if it bounces in the kitchen, to return the ball on the other side of the net in the kitchen or the non-volley zone, if you will. So the important part of that is that when you are dinking, you always start with your paddle in an up position, and then you're going to strike the ball with a pendulum motion. So if you take your arm and just swing like this, the paddle is an extension of your arm while you dink, okay? So the important part is that you maintain this pendulum motion when you hit a dink. The other thing is that you want to make sure that when you hit the ball, you're seeing the ball hit the middle of your paddle, and then as it goes up and over, your paddle comes back up in a ready position, and you're ready to receive the ball that comes back, whether it's a dink or whether it's a driving shot. So, as a standing player, it's challenging enough to do dinking. Now, Steve and I are both in wheelchairs, and we are going to dink back and forth for you, and then as a standing player, I want to make sure I'm as close to the kitchen or non-volley zone line as possible. And when I do that, I'm going to maintain my pendulum motion. I'm going to hit the ball in the middle of my paddle. I'm going to watch it, and then I want to make sure that I hit the ball out in front of me as far as I can. Now, some of the challenges with the wheelchair is if Steve hits a deep ball, my legs in the part of my chair are in the way. So taking the ball out of the air is very important when you're hitting the pickleball back across the net. Now, the important piece with the chair is before he hits a ball, I have got to put my chair in motion, or I am going to struggle to get to the ball because I can't just move the chair 3 feet this way or 3 feet that way. So that's very important. The other thing is a standing body person gets 1 bounce, I get 2. So if the ball bounces and I can't get to it, I can still move, let it bounce a second time, and then play the ball over the net into the non-volley zone. So Steve and I are gonna, you wanna add something?
Yeah, my biggest thing is when you're dinking, like Rob said, be mobile in the chair. The chair, you should never be from a 0 degree or a 0 motion position. You always have to have that chair moving to some degree. The reason why is because it's going to allow you to move a little bit more smoothly to make the approach on the ball. One other thing Rob said, the pendulum swing is going to be up and over. Also, on this dink, it's not a hard hit. It's just to get the ball over the net to make the opponent come and approach the ball and attack the ball to where it just keeps the ball in play. So you're going to see all that in motion.
So one of the other things I want to mention, notice how Steve looks right now. He has his paddle in his hand, okay? So you always have to have your paddle in your hand. If I sit here with my paddle in my lap and I try to move the chair, I'm late to the game. I'm not going to be successful. So notice how Steve had his paddle. So as he moves his chair, his paddle goes with him, and then he's ready to do whatever he needs to. But if he was trying to move his chair, ball gets played, he's still got to find his paddle and then get his grip position back. So it's best to keep your normal continental grip, which we talked in the last lesson, and then as he moves the chair, his paddle is always in his hand. It's never in his lap.
So let's get started.
Okay.
A nice easy dink, ball up, over. Now notice 1, 2. The chair is moving. I'm ready to move. My hand, my non-hitting hand, is driving this chair. Now, you're going to say, well, why is he backing up? 1, 2, because the further I go back means I'm not jammed. I'm going to show you the difference. I want to be away from the ball, and if I have to do that, sometimes I will turn to a side to get that motion that Rob was talking about. This pendulum swing or this pendulum swing. I'm trying to get the ball up. And we'll talk about the arc. I'm gonna let you talk about the arc a little bit later. But the main thing of a dink, and I'm not trying to slam the ball now, we're just trying to keep the ball in play. And what that means is we might have to roll back or roll forward to get to the ball, turn or either way. But like Rob is saying, my paddle travels with me. Let's try that again. I'm back, nice and easy, back, 2, and again. If I need to turn, I turn. That's the beauty of these chairs, is because it gives us the mobility that we need. And we're back in, and we're back in. 2 bounces, we're not panicked in the moment. One thing that one of my instructors told me a long time ago, he said, you know what? You never want to turn your back to an opponent or whatever. There might have to come a time where when we're hitting, I have to turn, but I'm right back in. I never take my hand, or I'm sorry, not my hand, I never take my eyes off of where I'm going. If I have to come out of position with these chairs are quick enough that allows us to turn and get back into position. For that moment in this sport here, if you have to turn your back, you're in a position that you'll get right back into the swing of things. So let's try that one more time so they get the feel of it. But the biggest thing is his chair, my chair, is always moving to some degree. I'm never just sitting still at the ready. I'm always at the ready with my paddle up, hand on the wheels, ready to go. Let's try it again, Rob. Oh. Sometimes you will see, if I want to make the best shot, that I might have to catch the ball out of the fly. We call it hitting the ball on the fly. I don't really recommend that. And the reason why I say that is because it gives you less probability of hitting a good shot or return shot. If I'm hitting balls up here, that means I'm out of position. And like you said, in this game, you called it the pendulum swing, yeah? So we want to hit the ball up and over the net. From here, a lot of probabilities of I'm going to hit that ball down into the net, and I'm going to have an upset partner. So here we go, one more time, Rob. Up and over, pendulum swing. Chair is moving. Chair is moving. He gets 2 bounces, I get 2 bounces. Hits it out of the air. And sometimes I might have to hit from an angle. That's okay. But my paddle is still at the ready. Rob, I think we should try cross-court dink. Talk to them about what the cross-court, why is that important?
Okay, so cross-court dinking is important because it gives you options for playing pickleball. So what happens is, if I have a bad habit of hitting a dink deep and my opponent takes the ball out of the air, it makes it very difficult for me to defend that. It makes it very easy for them. So what we try to do is use cross-court dinking to give us different options, and it also makes us a little more successful. So if I have a habit of hitting a ball hard, I have more room for error and I have more space that I can hit the pickleball. Now, there is no change from this pendulum swing here to what I'm doing with my backhand. Okay, so if I'm in a backhand, my pendulum now goes from here to across my body this way. Now what happens is, if Steve is a left-handed player, he's in his forehand. So forehand is the same, across the body with the pendulum, everything's connected, same thing to the backhand, not changing anything. Now for us in the chair, it might make it a little bit more challenging, because if Steve hits the angle closer to the net, I've got to move a lot farther with the chair to try to hit that ball back and then get myself back in position. So typically what happens is, with cross-court dinking, the difference is that I now go laterally from here to here versus me just going forward and back when I'm doing it down the line with someone directly in front of me. So we can try to give this a go.
And I got Seth here, acting as though he will be a partner just to do the cross-court dink. I'm going to do like Rob said, the best shot, I get more area space cross court. But if I want to keep our opponents off guard, I will hit right down to my other opponent. So let's do cross court and dink. And here we go. Seth, we're going to get you involved too. Here we go. Cross court dink. Yep. Now I hit the ball out of the fly because I was out of position. I'm lifting. Oh! And I'm back in position. Okay, sorry, Seth. Yep. Ball, 2, and back in play. 1, 2. So cross court dink is pretty much keeping our opponents true. It's not a hard attack ball that we want to do. We're just keeping the ball in play to where we can get back into position, and we notice we're close up at the net. What you also notice is after I hit the ball, I was actually in the kitchen area, which is allowable because once the ball bounced, I can approach the kitchen area. So we did a cross court dink, we did a dink from the wheelchair position. This next thing you're going to see our other two guys hit the cross court and the dink from an able-bodied position.
Again, I'm Gabe, this is Seth. Today we're here to show y'all the dinking from the perspective of just a single arm amputees. I know they talked to you about before some of the 3 keys to success of a dink, from the pendulum swing to coming back to the ready and seeing the ball out in front of you. From our perspective, pretty much there's not really much of a difference in somebody with 2 arms. You play pickleball with 1 hand holding the paddle, but for us, sometimes you have the weight distribution issues if you're a new amputee or not, but for the most part, it's still the same thing. Keep your eye on the ball. We're going to show you a couple of examples of how we do it. All right, ready? You want to always be right at the kitchen line. This is, or the non-volley zone, is where you'll be dinking from most of the game is played. All your dinks, you want to make sure they're out in front, and the pendulum swing of watching your arms back and forth. Now, one of the main things we're going to talk about is, so when I'm hitting my ball, I make sure the apex of my ball is the height, or the top height of my ball is about right here. So when he comes over, it's falling close to that, so he doesn't have a chance to reach in and just smash it back at me. Learning that is a very key to step to playing this game because it makes it fun. It keeps your volleys going back and forth better, and it'll advance you in the pickleball game too, faster than some others. Because if you can't dink, it'll mess your game up. But remember, so when I'm hitting, when I say my apex, when I hit off the paddle, I want the ball to go no higher than this, because if the ball is about right here and he comes over, he's going to smash that back at you when you get a chance. All right. So again, 3 keys to success of a dink will be the pendulum swing. With your arm, I'm not going from the elbow. I can't point to you, but I'm coming from my left shoulder, and that's where all my swinging is coming from. Also, I want to make contact with the ball when he hits it out in front of me. So if I look at the ground in front of me, if it's the clock, from the 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock is my hitting angles where I want to hit from. You hit from here, or hit from here, back to Seth. All right, want to show? Where I'm right here, keeping them right. You don't want it high of the net so he can pop. I move side to side if I need to, give myself enough space, but always come back to the ready. Keeping your paddle up. See how he's doing nothing different than a 2-arm person or any able-bodied person. We're just here, still dinking, keeping it easy. So, one additional thing that's very important to keep in mind while dinking is, remember this line that we call the non-volley zone line? This area here is called the non-volley zone, meaning if I'm standing right here, I cannot hit the ball out of the air and hit back and forth with Seth or my partner. You have to be standing behind this line to do your dinks. And while dinking, you can't step into the non-volley zone unless the ball bounces here first. Then good. So let's show. Now that ball is short, it's long enough for me that I can still reach that. Let's go again. Give me one that's close to me, yeah, like that. But if he gives me one short to me, that's still right there. See, he can step in. When it's short like that, that's when the only time you're allowed to step in and hit the ball back. Other than that, stay out of the kitchen. You're going to hear that a lot in pickleball, because if you step in here and hit the ball, that's a fault. That's out. They get the point if they're serving. Additionally speaking, during the volley, not only can you not step in this, but you cannot follow through. So if you hit the ball and it goes back over, you can't follow, your feet can't touch or any part of you. Your paddle I can't hit and fall over that. That's a fault. No part of you other than sweat can fall into the non-volley zone while playing this game at all. Whether you're dinking or rallying back and forth, you must stay behind this line. That's dinking. See y'all on the next one.